want to talk about reasons why semi-hydroponics might not work for some people, where we might go wrong. Now, I am not an expert, okay? Totally not an expert at all. But I have been reading everything I can possibly find on the topic. And of course, Ray's site, the link, I'll put the link in the bottom description. His site has, I've read his site like twice, maybe 3 times now, twice. I've read everything, I've been on the message boards, I've Googled, I've searched, I've looked at everything. I've just been doing my crazy research on growing in semi-hydroponics. Trying to figure out why it failed for some people, why it works for other people, what is the deal. For me so far, it's been looking good. So far it's been looking like something that's working for me. But I've only been doing it for about 3 weeks. So, you know, it's an old trusty. It's my Brassica. And I put in semi-hydroponics. What I do, I got these at a local hydroponics store. These are the hydroton beads. They're the ones that sink when fully waterlogged. These are the ones that all the pot growers use for their hydroponic systems. And I figured, well, you know, if they work for them, they should work for me. So I bought the expensive fancy ones, and I have a lot of them. I have a 50-liter bag of hydroton. You can't buy smaller portions unless you go on eBay, which I did first. And I bought like a bag about, I don't know, this big, for like $14. It's just go out and buy the huge bag, because really it's a waste of money. I wasted $14. I should have just bought the huge bag, the huge 50-liter bag in the beginning. You live, you learn. So if you're looking into doing hydroponics, semi-hydroponics, just go out and get the big bag. I know it seems overwhelming. You're like, oh my god, this is so many, like, what am I going to do with all these? You'll figure out something. You can use them in landscaping for aerating soil. You can use them for anything. You can use them for decoration. They're beautiful. I really should have soaked them more. You have to wash them. You cannot just take the beads out of the bag and just put them, I mean, you can, but there's so much clay dust on these beads when they're in the bags. So much clay dust. Like, there's a lot. And if you don't rinse the dust off, the dust can stick to the roots and cause problems and even suffocation issues. That's why rinsing and soaking is so important when you're doing this. But, you know, maybe if you put them in dry, you know, if you flush it enough, it'll be okay. But I don't know. There's just a whole lot of dust on these little beads when you wash them. I'll use a hose, and I put it on, like, the jet mode, or just the hardest mode, and I can just get them all bubbling around. And then I drain it, bubble it around, and drain it. And get the water to run clear as possible. Then you should soak them, because if you soak your beads, they will hold in more moisture when you do actually repot. But it's not necessarily something you have to do. I mean, the best thing to do would be to soak them in maybe seaweed extract, so that they at least have some nutrients to them, because these clay pebbles, no nutrients. Your plants aren't getting anything from this. But we got a lot of active growth, a lot of little new roots here. Look at all those little new roots popping out. And guess what they're popping out into? Oh, damage them. They're popping out into hydroton, like a beads. I put them in the bottom to keep him from sinking too far. And these little root tips are going right into those wet beads. Weird. I think it's telling me that it wants to live in semi-hydroponics. So, fertilizing. You gotta do it every time you water. That's a huge thing that I think a lot of people overlook. I overlooked it the first time I was doing my research. When you water these plants that are in semi-hydroponic, you want to flush it. And that's been everywhere. They all say flush the reservoir. And the reservoir, you can't really see it that well in this one, but you can see it in this one. The reservoir is this water down at the bottom. You don't want this water to stay in there for too long, especially if you're doing fertilizing every day, because the salts and the buildups and the chemicals and the fertilizer will just sit there and they'll create a toxic environment for the roots. So it's really important to flush everything out with fresh water. Yeah. Anyways, flush your system, fertilize every time you water, boom. Other thing, when you are repotting them into pots, the reservoir. You have to put the leca beads, and you can see kind of what I did here, maybe the camera will show it. Right here I have a line of the roots, okay, that are not down in the reservoir, because I filled up this whole area with leca beads before I even put the plant in the pot. So make sure you give yourself a good padding of leca beads at the bottom so that your old roots don't actually go into the water. Your new roots can go into the water because your new roots will be used to that environment and they'll do just fine. But I think that, I know what I did with one of my phals is I put the old roots in so it was touching the reservoir of water, and I lost a leaf. That root is rotting because I did not give myself enough leca bead padding, if that makes sense. So always pour the beads in first and then put your plant with the roots on top. Problem solved there. This one has a bigger surface area, dries out really fast, don't like it. I honestly think, because I don't grow these in a greenhouse, and I think if you are growing in a greenhouse, what are you waiting for? Do a semi-hydroponics. Like, it would be perfect for that. Because there's more humidity in a greenhouse. And I find that the humidity helps a lot with keeping it more evenly moist. In a home, a dry home environment, that's where I think you're going to see more problems with the semi-hydroponics, because it does tend to dry them out, and if you're not on top of it, your roots are going to go pretty dry pretty fast. That's the other thing. Don't ever let these dry out. You don't let them dry out. Any way you possibly can, put a humidifier next to them if you're going on vacation, like put them, maybe even put a little cover over it or something. Like, don't let these beads dry out. Now, this is just my theory, but I think that these clay pellets, they love to absorb moisture. Not as much as some other types of media, but they do love to absorb moisture. And if there's no moisture in here for them to absorb, they will start drying out the roots. And I don't know, this is just my, I feel like they'll just, in a way, take water away from the roots, and that's not good. So you can't let these guys dry out. Also, when you're growing them in a house environment that might be kind of dry, I see nothing wrong with using some type of mister just to mist the top area. I think that that is fine. But I don't know. I'm not an expert. Just seems like it's something that would work for the little new roots that are poking out. You know, just mist the top. It's not going to hurt anything. Just a little mist right there. Keep it a little more evenly moist, because it does tend to stay a lot wetter down here. Yeah, alright, well, those are a few things that I've learned in mainly research, but then also in my own tiny experience. And I will be updating on how this whole technique is going. And You know, there aren't that many people doing videos on semi-hydroponics on YouTube, at least not that I've found. I found a few great ones, but not that many people are doing it. I don't know. Where are you guys? Like, I want to see more of your growing areas. I want to see more of your semi-hydroponics. I know people are doing it. Show us. Show us how. Or how it works for you, because it works different for everybody. Alright, well, thank you for watching, and